Hello folks, welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Joel Duggan if you haven't figured that out, and we are returning to the Devastator factory in our 500-hour save. And we were just about to turn on the aluminum sheets before I ran out of time yesterday. So that's what we're going to start off with. We're going to go straight at the jugular of aluminum sheets. I did a little bit of tweaking after the stream on the copper line, and I'll show you that too. I still don't think that I'm calculating the throughput on these trains correctly. I know how to do it. It's the input to the train multiplied by the round trip of the train, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I can save up the the amount of stuff that I need, but then when I hook it all in together, it runs slower than it should. So I'm obviously calculating incorrectly. Anyway, we need to power all this stuff and then turn it on. But before we do that, you'll see these two lines here and here. Those are going to be our input for our aluminum ingots. We're currently going into awesome sinks, but we're gonna redirect these two lines here, and then we've got 4 copper lines, one there, one there, and one there, and one there, and I'm gonna hook those up. They currently are not hooked up in the tower. The tower needs the belt across it. That's the last little piece. I kind of want to turn this all on at once, so we need that to come across there. And that will hook up the tower. And the copper is coming in through the wall. So I made the wall double thick, and I think I said this the other day. But making your walls a full foundation thick really does give you a lot of play to do cleaner builds and mess around with stuff that doesn't necessarily look the best. So what's happening is we've got a little bit of space down here where our single copper line, you can see it down there in the bottom, is coming up the wall. It's getting split in two. Those two lines are getting run into here and here. I think I might raise them up a little bit. That brings them into this splitter and that splitter just splits them vertical. So one line goes in the left-hand side and then 2 lines come out. And that gives us almost enough copper to run these machines, but we don't have enough aluminum to run them anyway, so it's not really going to be an issue. This is 32, we only need 28, so we've gone a little bit overboard. Hey Jay Price, how's it going? Rabelais, 100,555, kick it down the door, and of course Cosmic is here as well. Good to see everybody. So here we have the output lines are all connected. So the machines up top, they export into lifts and they go down into these mergers, and these guys just go straight across into a merger on the bottom, and there's 2 lines coming out the bottom here, and they go all the way forward. And what we're going to do is we're going to run these into a bin and then into temporarily into an awesome sink here, just so that we can have it run and not clog up on us. And then the last thing is that we've got overflow set up in the event that our machines can't keep up. We've got overflow, not for the copper, because the copper, I'm not sending enough copper, so I'm not worried about overflow for the copper. But we do have overflow set up for the aluminum. Hopefully we won't need it, but it is here and ready to go in case we need it. I'm eventually going to have more of a better overflow system for these things, but for now, we've got it sorted out. Hey Shepard, how's it going? All right, so I'll show you the copper line and what's coming through there. I did the math on the copper line, and hopefully it's right. I need to eat something. Sorry about the horrible crunching noises. So we've got a 3.5-minute train, roughly, with a single copper node that is right here, doing 300 per minute. That's coming into the base. And then these two copper nodes over here, this one here and this one here, they're just belted in. So each belt of these belts is 300. But what's coming in per minute from this is actually 1028 because it builds up for 3 minutes and then it comes in at 1028. I think. At any rate, we've got 2 belts for the 1028 and 1 belt for the other 2 machines. This isn't hooked up to anything. It just stops right here. But this is where I was thinking about how nice it would be to have signs in this game. Because what I've had to do is use a beacon to say 600 per minute, 514 per minute, and 514 per minute are coming in on these 3 lines. That's my note to myself. It would be so much nicer to have signs on them. Or like I talked about before, some sort of thing that you could place them and have them go through and it could show the actual speed. Because the way that it was working was we had like a 3.4 minute train ride, and so that's times 300, about 1000 and 1020. It was like 3.47 or something. No, it was 442. 3.42 minutes, right? Times 300 gets you, yeah. So 42, probably 8. Yeah, so that's what we got coming in. So that's it might still be the same 300. I don't know. I don't really understand how. It's the total throughput versus the throughput per minute, but we run out whenever the train restocks. This is just going into these smelters, and right now that's at 100%, and this is at 0. So I don't know why this can't keep up. I haven't been able to figure it out. So we don't have quite a full 300 line going into our aluminum ingots. So we're going to have to just figure out what's happening with the copper. See, here comes more copper now. But these ones don't stop ever. Like, this never stopped the whole time. It's always got stock. But for whatever reason, these just don't get enough. The first time I heard Joel swear on TCC, I paused and rewound it because I didn't believe it. Nice. Did I swear just now? I don't think I did. If I had, a Cosmic would have thrown the book at me on stream. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. Either way, we've got 3... Oh, I said math. I see. I've got 3 lines of copper all set up. I bumped up the quartz for the first leg. So now we've got the quartz is up high. And then it dips back down. So we're all set to go. We just need to go and hook up the power and see where we can go from there. I also need to set up a better lookout out here. I'm starting to lose my vision about where and how this base is supposed to look. So I want to make sure we have some walls and stuff going on. Oh, thanks, Fazo Battlecaster. Appreciate that. Fazu, by the way, I'll be reaching out soon about your commission. We've had a bump in the schedule, so I'm working on new stuff sooner. So I've got everybody set up in line as per when they emailed to request a commission, so I'll be reaching out in that same order. Alright, so we got power coming into the building somewhere over here. Looks like right there. Yep, okay. So we need to get that back down this way. And we're probably going to use the same... Wouldn't mind hiding it under a belt if I can. Of course there's a thing in the way. That would be too easy. Brings the power over to there. And then we just have to get it up there. Green lights down the line, that's good. And some green lights, but not all. So this means that this doesn't have the assigned Alclad sheet recipe. Your ribs are almost done. That's not a bad thing. I had leftover smoked meatballs for dinner tonight. Tell you, if you ever have a chance, smoking meatballs, they freeze really well. They keep the smoky flavor. I had mine with rice and vegetables, but like you can put them in spaghetti. Great. Green lights down the line. Huzzah. So I don't mind that little line underneath this. So we're gonna do the same thing here. Then we just have to go inside. Now thankfully we can just run it along here. Ribs, asparagus, and grilled jalapeno. I like jalapenos in things. I can't say I've ever been a fan of just like eating a straight up jalapeno. I'm not a big spice person though. Thanks for the follow, Matt and... Matt and who? Did we do the power for this side? I don't know that we did. Don't think we did. Oh no, wait. They're all hooked up to the same... I brought the power up here. We don't need the power up here though. These are maybe just missing... Right, okay. These are just missing the assignment. They're not programmed yet. I do find this one of the more tedious things you have to do in the game. I'm okay if they did it as like something you had to unlock, but it would be nice if you could, say, pre-assign the thing. We've got a little bit of copper coming in. So what we really want to do is hook up the output to the machines. So for this right now, we're going to keep it simple. And I'm going to have to step over this a bunch of times, but this is what we're going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, is that directly in the way? That's in the way. So we'll just go down to... Guess we should probably use this line instead. So when it turns the corner, we'll go up. And then this can connect to that. This can connect to this. And then these can run along. And we'll switch this up. Get this down to here. Legitimate question, at this stage of the game, is it possible to keep anything simple, or is it just simple for this point of the game? Oh, is this simple? Like, did I call this simple? Thanks, Matt. Have a good one. What makes this difficult is all the stuff that happened before it. This stage is simple compared to all the whatchamacallit, oh, is that going to be in the way? Oh, that's in the way. Crap. Change this a little bit. We'll go to here, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. All this is going to change anyway. Just need to keep stuff flowing. So we've got some sheets being made because I've had an overflow of copper. Copper goes from there to there, and from there to there. Same thing over here. And that should be everything all going now. Seeing lots of sheets coming down, at least on one side. Are you guys working? 3 aluminum ingots. It's not getting ingots. Why are you not getting ingots? Oh, the elevator's not hooked up. That'll do it. Whoa, I fell. That was close. Sorry for all the nighttime stuff, but sometimes when the night falls too close, it's hard to deal with to the start of the stream. What's this coming in on? We need to switch it to a Mark III. Can you guys hear the little chirps when I set belts and lifts? Can you hear the little chirps that happen? Or is the game volume too low for that? You can hear them? Cool. Right. Should see a steady stream of supplies coming in. Hopefully we don't need anything coming out the bottom. Yeah, it's pretty slow. So this is not going to be full tilt. Got that set up right. I think we're good here. I'll leave this open in case I need to noodle with it later. Nice to have access. These are not needed though. Switch that around. That looks good. Picked up Satisfactory a couple of weeks ago. Played about 100 hours and now I'm burned out. Well, that's too bad. Pacing yourself with anything is always a good idea. But are you burned out? Because here you are watching a Satisfactory stream. So they're not all rendering in, but I'd say that that's working, although maybe not. Copper ingots. Coming in, they're just coming in very slow. Because what's needed is 320 10 times 32, but we only have 300 coming in. So this is not meant to be a perfectly balanced factory at the moment. I will have to balance the throughputs, but we have an agile way of getting stuff here. We have room to increase the volume, so that's good. The other thing I need to do is not waste all these amazing Alclad sheets, because we're going to want those. So what I'm going to do is we're going to temporarily stick a bin right here. Approaching on others' clearance. That looks like the perfect height. Temporarily move this. Gonna put a smart splitter in here. Temporarily remove the power line because the game won't let us place a giant splitter even though there's a teeny tiny little wire in the way. And then we want center. Left is going to be none. Center is going to be overflow. And right is going to be Alclad sheets. Now we have a sheet bin. Fantastic. Which means we can now delete all of that and depower it, which means save ourselves some time and energy. Looks like it's full anyway. Maybe we should let it run its course. I mean, we basically have unlimited stuff anyway. So I'm going to... Do I have enough room for these? I don't. Where is the power coming in? I don't know if we have any other silica lying around. We might. On the Spawn Chunks, you mentioned All Minecraft Live and how you'll be live streaming with pics. Maybe a dumb question, but how does that work? Minecraft Live, I believe, is a YouTube presentation. They might be on Twitch as well, but Johnny will be streaming from his channel. I'll be joining him via video call. And then he'll be capturing the live presentation in a video, and then Johnny and I will be off to the side, and so we'll be listening, but also making comments when Mojang people aren't talking. Whenever Mojang is doing some sort of goofy presentation that's aimed at little kids, we'll probably add some comments over that, mute the stream, that kind of thing. You can find a video on YouTube. If you go back to last October, I think it was October 5th, you can find a YouTube video. You can probably find it on our website too. So yeah, I don't have any other silica to throw into this, so this whole thing is just a waste. So we're probably going to be better off just dismantling the whole thing, which is good because I need this room for other things. I'm just going to do this, make that decision now. And then, where's the power coming in? Right here. Cool, so that should help with our consumption. A little bit. We just turned on a lot of stuff. Cool. I think we're out of copper too. Oh no, we're not. That's right. Don't need that. Cool. I'll probably come back and delete that later when we need the space, but now that it's depowered, it should be a lot easier to move around. Delete it when we need to. Yes, we have to keep an eye on the time and send Cosmic Dancer to bed at an appropriate time. Who's with me? Alright, well now that that's working, we have to look at this other side, which I believe is just going to be 8 constructors. Yep, 8 constructors for aluminum casings. So we'll look at a constructor and we'll come up with an interesting way to do this. So we're going to be making these guys because we don't have an alternate recipe for them that I'm aware of. Does the codex tell you? If I looked up steel. Yes, tells you when you have your alts. So I don't have any aluminum alts, just a new one that I unlocked. We have an alt aluminum solution recipe there. Aluminum casing. So that requires 90 aluminum ingots. I believe we have 840 coming up from this currently. So that's 14 times 60 is 840. 840 divided by 90 is 9.3. How did I get to 8? I wonder if I was going to change the output on them. Times 8 is 720. So I guess we were just not going to use the other ones? I mean, we could do 10 and just underclock a couple. Silly Cosmic lives on Twitch, yeah. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy what we did over here, obviously just with constructors. I just want to make sure we copy the placement of things. So unfortunately, this has to move. I'm just going to temporarily throw them behind us for now. We will not keep them here. power. I was so close. Whatever. So over here we had, it looks like 2 spaces before the machines. At least. And the machines didn't start until here, so this would be our first constructor here. That's an assembler. And so this is going to be making aluminum casings. How come the September goal doesn't exist? I thought we fixed that for the Nightbot. Thanks for that link, Cosmic, to the VOD from the 2020 Minecraft Live. Appreciate that. Output 60, so it's going to be making 600, so we can do a single line. It'll be easy to manage. I kind of want to do something fun, though. This space is going to be needed for logistics. So like splitters and stuff will go down that way. We don't need to go high, but I kind of want to go high on this. Oh, I'm out of concrete. That's not good. Was going to mention to you in your break, do you have make any changes to it? I don't think I changed it, but I can check on my break. And I also need to do that thing that we talked about. I think it was like a Nightbot manager or something you said. That needs to happen. Alright, what do I not need? I don't need that. Don't need those. Good. Grab some extra rods. Okay. Have a nice walk, J Price. What kind of dogs do you have when you come back? Let me know. I think you've told me this before. I don't remember. It's one of the ones set up on a Tiber. Okay. Let me know which one it is. I can look into it. We don't have to do it this way, it's just kind of fun. So we could have them like that, and then have the Alclad sheets all come out the top part. It's unnecessary, it's just provide something cool. And then the flip of this would just be in the same spot. Looks like those are lined up with the edge. So I just do this. I think it's cool. Creates a nice little line here. Now power. I don't want to run. Don't want to run normal telephone poles. And I don't know what's happening here for a second floor. Finners, hello. How's it going? So we have splitters coming along here. I guess power could just be telephone poles for now, power poles. Alternatively, we could use a wall. And just use these little guys. I mean, there's only going to be 10 of them for now. So this is 4. Oh, wrong way. Yeah, I think that's cool. Gonna move this, I think. Yeah, I think that works. I like it better than using power poles anyway. And to get the power over here, there will be a wall here. Technically. So we can use that to get the power over. And we'll probably just use a wall node from here. Cool. So these should have power now. And they're going to be making casings. Are there places online where people share pictures, screenshots of Satisfactory builds? Yes, the Satisfactory Discord and Satisfactory on Reddit are the two places that I've seen. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're really hard to understand. Other times they're just really basic stuff. Because Reddit, sometimes it's garbage. Memes and people being dumb. But overall, yeah, you can find some cool stuff. Right, so we've got 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 90 come for each one, times 8 is 720, times 9 is 810, and then 900 will be the next one, but we only have 840 coming up from below. So I just need to run one at 33%. And let's make it this one. No, 60%, right? Yeah, do that backwards. That will hopefully work out. Realizing that I probably... Oh, I can build these. Nice. Always nice to test your spacing before you get into it. Might look for a bit of inspiration earlier, or I'll just build a massive factory using shape language of a transformer. Optimus Prime. Yes, nice, good one. Golden Doodle and a mini Aussie Doodle. J Price, I do remember the mini Aussie. I didn't know you had a full golden, but I do remember us talking about the mini Aussie before. What other... Oh. I wonder if we could do this in a way that they look like they're supported somehow. I mean, if we wanted to, we could totally have like these things in here. Oh, but then that messes with the... Can't use those. Export rate is 60, so these only have to be level 1. That's good. And then this gets complicated as it gets down. Right, so even though this is not going to be full capacity, each pair is doing 120. So we have to go with Mark II, 120. This is 240, so we have to go to the Mark III belts. This is 360. We have to go to Mark IV belts. And then this is 480. Let's try that again. 120, 240, 360, 480, And then 480 plus 120 is 600. Big old fat belt. Now for the inputs. Going with timing the brakes tonight with the game again? Yes. Yeah, so we had a night shift. Like, it was only like 5 or 10 minutes after we started. So yeah, I'll do a break when the sun goes down again. It looks like it's going down soon. Seems like the easiest way to do it with this game. So it is one of the timers. I wonder which timer it is. Need to fix that. Well, they're all getting 90, so then all of the input belts need to be a Mark II. I don't see any need to get too complicated with this. We're probably going to want to just move all the stuff we can. So we're just going to use the Mark IV all the way down. So that's simple. And then I guess for processing it, we can just use a wall. And we'll point this one into that one, and we'll do the same thing over here. Why are these not working? Oh, because I cut the power. Oh, cool. Thanks, Cosmic. Yeah. Alright, so this is a simple little factory to get us some casings. That's good. We'll be able to build drones and other cool stuff. Oh, looks like it might be time to get rid of this. What we'll have to do is maybe merge these temporarily. Upgrade that. Pretty straightforward once you sort out a simple build like this. You just have to execute it, right? And I know I have a hotbar, I just never use it for things beyond 1, 2, 3. Mark belt. If anybody in the chat's new to the game, if I'm going too fast, let me know. I can answer some questions. Because this is just such a small build, we're using the overflow method. Drones, I forgot those were a thing. I forgot they existed too. You'd think I would have been more excited about it, but yeah. I totally forgot about them. I wish that they had done this so that the poles on the machines lined up with the node placement on the wall. Would have been nice. This reminds me of how I did a lot of the power in my early factory. I decided to use wall plugs as soon as I could have access to them. I started using wall plugs instead of the power poles. We're all hooked up. One, two, 3, 4, 5. Can you go into a bit more detail on the overflow method? A refresher would be really helpful. How you would set it up, what circumstances you use it in. So the overflow method is basically the simplest way to set up the factories. Let me just power this and I'll show you. Some of these lit up, some of these did not. Casings. 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 So, we're using the overflow method here, and what that is our inputs are going to be here. So, you've got all of our items that are going to be changed are coming in here, and then it hits the first splitter. And it takes this entire line of 420 per minute, and it sends as much as it sends half of it that way and half of it that way. This doesn't need 210, this needs 90. So it gets more than it needs until it backs up, and then it keeps on overflowing to the next machine, and the next machine, and the next machine, and the next machine. So ultimately what happens is eventually all of your machines work at the same speed, provided that you have enough coming in. Most people, what they do is they have too much coming in, so then your belt stops, and it kind of goes in that little stutter stop thing, because that means that this is going to be full up with 100 items in here, and it's just gonna, your production is going to be constant. The good way about this is that your production is absolutely constant. The fun thing to do, if you can, is to have like a perfectly balanced layout where, like, let's say you had, for example, just for easy math, let's just say that you had 10 per minute on a belt and you have 10 constructors here. So what you would want to do is separate them out, split them in half, 5 and 5, and then split that again. It doesn't work with odd numbers, but like split that again and get it down to like, so each one was receiving 1 per minute each way for like a balanced attack. But the overflow method is what most people use, just because it's easier. And I'm using it here because the input is inconsistent. Our aluminum is coming up at an inconsistent rate compared to what it should be. Alright, time to delete you two and hook all this up. My headlamp isn't even on, and the light is refracting off of everything that harshly. Gross. Oh. Alright, so this needs to be rebuilt and aimed sideways. be good. This needs to be rebuilt and aimed sideways as well. But it should be the same height, so it shouldn't be difficult to do. Was that a good enough explanation of the overflow method, Cosmic? Oh, that's too tall. Never mind. Oh, that's too tall as well. And here we have aluminum casings. I've never seen these before. That's really cool. We need to send them into a awesome sink and into a storage bin. Let's do that over here. No, we'll have it change directions. So I'm going to put a temporary storage bin here. And we already had temporary awesome sinks. We'll just add this one back. And then we just do this whole smart splitter thing. I think the overflow confusion might be coming from the fact that the smart splitter has an overflow function too. I mean, it works the same way. So, heavy belt there. And let's just go all the way over to here. That should bin a bunch of these once we have them sorted. So left is going to be aluminum casing. Center is going to be overflow. And right is going to be none. Why is this going so slowly? Ah. Mark IV lifts would come in handy. We should start to see a lot more casings coming out of here. It's not quite going to be a full belt, but it's going to be close. And all I'm doing here is prioritizing a storage bin full of these things before we send them off into an awesome sink. Eventually I'm going to have these things go into my storage system, but right now... well, that's good. That's the end of the aluminum production line. We can make other things with these main things, but there's no more things to be made out of aluminum. That was a terrible sentence. The aluminum casings and the Alclad sheets are the last aluminum product that you make out of pure aluminum. After this, you then make things like batteries and heat sinks and other things that we are not going to be making here. I feel like that stuff is going to happen on the other side. But now we can kind of switch gears and look at tidying things up a little bit. But since the night has been falling, we should probably go see if we can find a break train. I think maybe we'll try to add a train in today, and that could be kind of fun too. Decepticon is there. See, Bone Crusher just got to the quartz mine. Where is everybody? We'll probably jump on Scavenger. Ten out of 10 would question again. Nice, Cosmic. Cool with the storage bin and then the awesome sink. So the cool thing about the storage bin and then the awesome sink, it means that your factories keep on running. I got into trouble with putting my stuff into bins, and then when the bins filled up, the factory would stop. And then the factory would stop and it wouldn't be pulling power. So then you'd think you'd have more room in your power grid than you actually did. And then when you took stuff out of the storage system, a bunch of stuff would start working again. So by keeping things going into the awesome sinks, well, one, you rack up points, which I now know you can use for color cartridges. And two, you can use the awesome sinks are all temporary, right? They don't cost a lot of power. J Price hadn't ridden Bone Crusher yet, so we'll jump on Bone Crusher since it's here first. Alright, as per usual, folks, I try to take a break about once an hour, but with Satisfactory, we just do it when the sun goes down, so enjoy the ride on Bone Crusher, and I'll see you in just a little bit. Hey, looks like the sun is up. Good stuff. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. So I think I licked that Nightbot command on break. Should be done. Thanks, Hunter. Thanks, Cosmic. Appreciate it. I still need to figure out a better way to calculate throughput on trains. We're going to be using trains a lot. Then we need to figure out a better way to do that. Jumbo Sale, welcome on in. Jumbo Sale subscribing for 9 months in a row, unlocking the Fire Keystone badge, matching up with Hunter 555. Thanks so much, Jumbo. Appreciate that. Hope you're enjoying your weekend, even though it's almost over. I have to tackle that roundabout too, but I am not in the mood. I've tried watching Schitt's Creek a couple times, and I don't find it funny. I know a lot of Canadians are just gonna like, you're nuts. I don't know what you're talking about, Joel, but was not something I enjoyed. So I haven't gone back to it. I did really like Kim's Convenience though. I thought that was funny. So I don't think... I might have left them the same height, but I'm thinking about bringing a train and putting a train right where this middle hypertube is. So I want to use the old base to populate my storage system. So we'll come in here, and this will end up being a train. Probably around this height, actually. And it'll just come straight in to this main section and then unload everything up into the storage room. That could be kind of cool. Alright, so it looks like we're moving. We've got stuff happening. This looks like it's going very slow. I don't know why that is. We're probably dealing with a backup down below. Oh, there's scrap happening. Some of the time. Are you guys doing scrap? Yes? I wonder if that valve adjustment helped. I really don't like these export lanes. They look dumb. Jumbo Sale had my second shot yesterday, so lies in bed. Good for you, man. Good call. Hopefully it doesn't affect you too harshly. Alright, so it looks like most things are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Our graphical issues in the game are not showing all of the silica, but if we get close enough it'll render in. Nothing is going to red or yellow light on it, I don't think. They need to do better. Well, maybe all these are yellow. I find that it's difficult to see the difference between the yellow and the green. They need more of an amber, an orange. That's the other kind of mod that I would do. This one's not hooked up. That's just there for spacing placement. Same with these two over here. But yeah, I'd love to be able to change the colors of some of the lights on the machines. You both put up with Alistair for that long? Oh yeah, no, I've known Alistair since 2014. This is all still going. That's full. This doesn't look like it's backing up at all. This is slow. So here's another thing that's happening that's really strange. We're sending in all the quartz that we need, and yet these machines are not keeping up. Like, why? Oh, well, for one, there's no belts here. That'll do it. How did that happen? You all saw me build these belts, right? What do you need? 20. It's on stream. I know it's on stream. All these are there. What's happening? All those belts are there. These ones all have belts. All these ones have belts. Okay. Still, it's weird that we have so much overflow. I don't remember the throughput on the quartz. But we should have more than enough. More than enough machines, I mean. I felt that I accompanied, like, I think I accommodated the 90 that's supposed to come out of this, right? 90 comes out of this. 90 comes out of this. Goes into 180. That's another 180. That's 360. That's a Mark IV belt. That's a Mark IV lift. That's a Mark IV lift. That's a Mark IV belt. Mark IV lift. This is Mark IV all the way down. Yeah, I don't know why these are so slow. I don't remember what this is for. Obviously it goes off. Oh, maybe it's that tower. Yeah, I would say it's probably that tower. Let's see if we can tidy this up. There we go. That's all nice and tight now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you learn to let go. Because the game... The thing is, you can battle yourself and try to get perfect efficiency in this game. The problem is that the game's got bugs. So things like fluids don't work the way that they're supposed to. So it's kind of hard to perfectly balance something that's not working correctly. Somewhere is... There's the copper. It's coming in at a trickle. Oh, there we go. Must have been between train trips. Alright, so one of the things I wanted to look at today, now that we've got aluminum up and running, is this giant monstrosity of a structure here, and how the construction is looking like from a building perspective. And I like this space, but I'm worried that this is just a giant waste of time. I feel like we'd be better off doing straight lines. So I feel like we'd be better off having just like a big chunk here. But I also want to think about where the face of this building is and how much space we're allotting for that. So I feel like we have to think about like the back end of this. And this sticks out like so far. It also lines up with this particular section here. So originally this was supposed to be the wall. Right here. Keep on falling off the edge, it's driving me nuts. And that was supposed to be like a too thick wall, which it is down here. I wish this thing would stop switching the walls. Someone in chat was talking about things that would bug them about this game. That's definitely one of them. But I don't think I want to put this here. I think I would rather have some distance. But I don't know what that means for this space that we have in between, which is 4 foundations. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, this doesn't have to be here either. I feel like we have some room here to do some detail, like some building stuff. It would be nice. Like to have some depth, like at least 3 foundations of depth to mess around with for designing stuff. It'd be really cool. And when you look at it from down here, like it all just seems so far away over there, right? So having this be the front of the building could help, I think. Which Decepticon is it? It's Devastator. This guy. So I like the details in his, would be his right shoulder. So I like the idea of having like some big blocks across this area here. So like imagine if this was the front of everything here. Right, so this is another wall. We've got these things here. But like if this whole thing was just solid wall, we would have all kinds of depth to play with in terms of design. Right? So like, not sure how many this is. This is the wall here, so minimum wall thickness is going to be one foundation. Which is bananas when you think about it. Right? So like that goes to there. So that means like whatever we put in this space, we could totally have inside here. Depending on where we want to end this. Maybe we don't do anything here at all. Maybe it's all underground. I don't know. That could be where we make cable and all kinds of stuff. But along here, we'd go from here. So we've got 15. So I could do like 3 sections of 4 with space in between. So imagine like big blocks from here. One, two, three, four, 5. So that would not be there. I don't know if a single space is enough. Yeah, it's probably enough. Oh, thanks. Yeah, the chess piece is going to get a lot bigger. I think I'm going to make it so that it, the train I think is going to go right in the bottom part of it, right there. And then I think I'm going to make this go up farther. There's room. If we go up a little higher, we can angle things, I think, and make it a little bit bigger. I don't want it to be an exact copy either. Like, I kind of want to just kind of hint at it. I'm going to do my own thing. That's 2, 3, 4. Another space. And that's 2, 3, 4. And then there's 5. One, 2, 3, 4, space 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I remove this one and add one there. I love that you can build this far away. And then just for pure illustration, right, like we could have great big panels. And maybe this is all solid, right? Like maybe this is all floor. Or maybe this only comes to here, right? And maybe all these things. Maybe there's a giant pit and it goes right down to the ground. Yeah, this is just for look. Like, I mean, I would maybe put some lights or something in them, but yeah. I just want something cool when you're riding the train or the hypertube, right? But you can't see them unless this wall isn't here. And that's why I think, well, I mean, they'll be taller because they've got to be as tall as that. Or they can start to cut back too, right? Like before they get to a certain height, I'm gonna have to get some more jet fuel too. Like we've gone up this far. I don't know if we need to do anything here, but we could easily have them start to cut back. Say this goes to here. And maybe we want this to go higher. I mean, there's no reason we couldn't have foundations like this. And this is boring and very simple, but you can see the amount of stuff that you can play with when you've got 3 foundations deep and 5 foundations wide. How many times would you fall in the pit? Oh, that's... yeah. With a jetpack? I don't know. Right? But like, and then this other level here... go up again. So like from the ground, you'd see this repeating pattern of these massive like support structures. Because the whole thing, I don't want the whole thing to look like a deck of cards, right? And that's why I think that this section here, I may have to cut this off. Here. Like we can still have some low stuff, but I think seeing those things is a cooler experience, right? This giant mouth thing, and then all this stuff is off in the background. It's a better juxtaposition of the size of this, which is just massive, compared to like the other things in the background. And then that would give us, yeah, there's the three bits of depth there. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Again, it's gonna be more fun with other base parts. And what I would do with these is we would run them inside, like this. So each thing would have like this massive depth. And we could do like run belts upside that. We could do all kinds of stuff. Obviously we'd change it color so that it wouldn't stand out like that. Like if these had a different, you know, pattern to them. So like if I took these away, then you can clearly see the alley, the change in depth, which would be really cool. And we could also remove this here, right, and have this go straight down. With the lights, could you have them set up so there's a colored glow from outside the build? Yeah, you could even do glows inside the build. That's why I made these little like sketch notes over here. See all the glass in there? I wanted to put lights inside of them so that it looks like they were like red lights, kind of like on his head. His eyeballs are red. So like here, we could easily have panel like down here somewhere. One of these lights you can do this with. There's the flood tower light, which is massive. But I think you can only aim that down. Yeah, so you can only aim that up and down. So when you place it, you run your mouse wheel and it can go up and down like that. Then there's this one. That goes a little bit higher. So it's difficult to do like lighting from below, which I imagine they've got some feedback on that. Because ceiling lights you can't do anything but up, like you can't put them anywhere but like on the ceiling, right? So that's out of the question. And then the street lights, they don't really do the trick. They shine straight down. So the thing to do would be more than likely to have something over here. That was at 5? 4, 5. And then we'd have a light. I mean, these things are huge. Power. Right, so it kind of lights up the bottom. It's not great though. I now really have some feedback for Coffee Stain. They really need to allow us to light things up from below. I mean, you get some, right? And you could back it up and probably have it be clearer. Like a spotlight pointing at the building, but bigger. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I can't think of a way to do it so that the light would be lighting up the thing. I mean, you could possibly have it inside of the building, but shine it through a bunch of glass. But what I would want is like the light pointing straight up, but I don't think you can do that. Wall-mounted floodlight, so it only has to be on a wall. And then the ceiling light, I'm imagining, has to be on the underside of something, right? So that can't be placed any other way. Just out of curiosity. Right, so I mean that's higher, but still not lit from below, right? That's still a downward light. So there doesn't look like there's an option to light something from below. Which is too bad, because it's probably my favorite thing to do in Minecraft. Yeah, I'd want the light coming up from below too. The only thing I can think of would be, like in these sections here, if it's possible, would be, it would be a much softer glow. But if you were able to put a glass foundation, put a ceiling light, and then power the ceiling light. I can't really tell if that light gets up onto the building at all through the glass. It might. Maybe if you put like a really reflective surface down there. Hard to say. We'll come back when the sun goes down. But yeah, I'd want to try to do something like this to try and give us a really cool kind of vibe. And I'm not sure if you can see it on the picture, but we'll have to, I mean, this isn't the final, this is kind of like a rough blocking out. But if you look on the Devastator picture, if you look at his top right shoulder, which it looks to me like it's the bottom of one of the machines, it's got this big vertical kind of like rectangle. So what I would want to do is have like something big like this kind of scale, and have like details, but the details could be cut into it too. Like we don't have to have it be flat. We could do something like this where you have something there. We can go with a foundation. Put a foundation in there. Then run the walls. Alright, so you could have some depth to it too. Oh, I had the Devastator thing up. Hold on. So like you could run and have, he's got this kind of stuff in his, like these deep crevices of detail. You know, you could have it there. You could change the way, we don't have any like, we don't have half walls currently, but they're coming. But then you can add a bunch of stuff to the outside as well. Any kind of vertical thing, like we could have pillars running out the outside. Just to like add that level of detail and industrial kind of support, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of messing around here. But you get the idea. Having some depth and some room in this game. You just, with everything being like 8 by 8 meters, you really need a lot of room. But I think that this change in what I want to do for the front of this part of the building definitely affects this wall. And the more that I think about it, the more I feel like this is kind of my limit of where I would want it to be. And I'm more inclined to have it just go straight down here, get to a certain point, and then just, I don't know if I like this angled business or if I want to attempt to actually do an angle. The problem in this game is that there's no 45-degree angles. Everything's a 10-degree turn. So even if you're on the ground like this, call that 0, that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? There's no 45, 60, 70, 80, 90 degrees. So it's infuriating that they don't give you a 45. I wish they would do that. I'm not sure why they thought that an increment without a halfway would be good for people. I kind of want to wait until the sun goes down a little bit. Maybe I'll take a short break on the short break train and we'll try to come back before the sun comes up. I want to see if that light bounces up from below. I also need to go get some more jet fuel. Maybe we'll look from the tower to see what's up. Don't see Mixmaster anywhere. Oh, there comes Mixmaster. Maybe that's what we'll catch. You really can't see it from here. Because the giant leg piece is in the way. But you can see the little details that you can get down here. Now imagine lights behind those. Very, very cool. I think there's much light coming up from that light, unfortunately. So I was thinking the train could come along here and then just hang a right turn and go straight down the middle. That could be really cool. Interested to see what happens. I hear a train. Yeah, you can't really make the light out even if it's getting dark. There's a weird part in this game at twilight where it actually gets lighter after it gets darker. I think it's got something to do with the giant planet, which I just realized is a giant thing on the side of it. A weird crater. Alright, I will leave you to your trip on Mixmaster. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Alright. Now that we've got the aluminum going, I feel like we need to get up here, take a look and see what might need to happen next. I know we've got iron work to do, that's for sure. Starting to feel like a factory. You can sort of see the big chunkiness that I want to happen here and the big chunkiness that I want to happen here, and then the slightly lower part in the middle. This part here actually I'm thinking might need to be a little bit bigger, which is why I don't want to get too carried away with what's happening here. I feel like I want just a little bit more room on that top floor. So I was thinking on the break, one of the things we could do for storage, instead of running a train, which I still want to do for storage, we could run drones all the way back from here, right at our storage system, all the way to our northern base up here, and we can get items that way. But I don't know how drones work yet, so that's kind of like a backup plan or an end game, because we'd have to make batteries first. I don't know how to do that. Didn't look like what? I mean, structurally, it starts to look like it's starting to look like a factory from a structure standpoint now, right? I'm wondering if I've made these too tall. Because this, as big as this is, it kind of like pales in comparison from up here. I guess it does look good from down here. So yeah, if we did a train though, we'd have to move a lot of this hypertube stuff around. If I was to put a train down there, what scale would it be? How far off the ground are we here? Full foundation? It's full foundation. So if I put a full foundation here, we want the train to go taller than that? Oh, I can't build one. Can I do... What do I need? Motors and beacons. Motors. Beacons, I think I have to craft. Plates. Probably need to get some more copper wire and cable too. $3D guy guinea pig. That's one way to look at it, sure. Happy to have you here, either way. Do I have cable? Yes. So the whole point of this is I'm trying to see if I was to put a track in here, how high would I want it to be? And if I just put one item in this car, then it'll show the full train. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to Johnny as well tomorrow. So it would be one foundation closer. Like it would be... Would we want it any lower or any higher? I kind of feel like we can see the whole train. Even if there was, like, even if there are belts here at this height, you can still see most of it. If you remove the hyper tubes, you could do it in such a way that they look like hydraulics for the limbs. Oh yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff with the details. I haven't gotten that far. You can do it with piping as well. Not just hyper tubes, but you could do all kinds of stuff like logistics, wall hole, like I don't know, pipe there, and then just use your no purpose, just decorative, you know, kind of detail, things like that. We'll get there. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of a train. I just don't know if I want it to be just a little bit higher. I mean, as it stands right now, that would just fit in there. So if we go any higher, we'll have to make it taller. The trucks are useful-ish early game. They were about to get a lot more useful and a lot more reliable with update 5. There's a video on the Coffee Stain YouTube channel about the updates that's coming to trucks. They just put that out a week and a half ago. So that's coming. So I'm kind of thinking like it would be cool if this was maybe a foundation taller. Let's try it again. Oops. Wah. It's weird that you can't like pick the trains. You can't use your pick block on them. It's odd. Oh, I don't know. I think I might like that too. I mean, the hypertube won't be here. Like, imagine the hypertube not here. I kind of like the idea of the train being up just a little bit higher. This feels very low. This feels very special. What do we think? Lower or higher for the train? Yep, yeah, you can send them up and down ramps. My idea would be as soon as it gets into the main, or even if maybe it doesn't even get this close, maybe before it gets to the main hub, it actually starts to go down. Because we've got lots of room. We could take it right down underground, right? Like we could take it down here and dock it down here somewhere. I'm not sure, but I like the idea of those ramps, but we're probably gonna have to move them. at some point. Like the two foundations. I mean, they wouldn't be there. We would more than likely have something else in their place. Like, there's new supports coming in Update 5 as well, so we can think about that. But imagine something more like either these. Oh, it's not going to let me do it now. That's annoying. Ugh. Alright, well, hey. Right, so something like this. So something like that, maybe. Could be cool. I personally think I like the higher one. I think it adds like another structural element to the design. They said the fall, 3D guy. So that could be anywhere between now and the first day of winter in December. Yeah, I like this idea. We'll have to move our main hypertube. We could just move that off to the side. The other thing is, like, if we're going to be 2 foundations high, like, we don't have to be 2, we could be 1.5. But I feel like 2 is probably the better way to go. I wonder what this looks like from up top. This would also be in the center, which is where the hypertube is. We wouldn't move it off to the side like that. Yeah, the support things, yeah. They do sort of look like Mario things, don't they? Yeah, I like the top one. We technically have room for 2 if we really wanted to. Because I think you could run 2 tracks close together, maybe? Oh no, I already did this. And the trains touch one another when they go down the tracks. So yeah, that doesn't work. So the next question is, how high is the train platform compared to this? And I think the train platform and this are the same height. I would imagine that's probably how I started this whole thing. To remember to take the left hypertube. Yeah, I don't know about those particular pillars. We'd probably do something a little bit cleaner. I actually want to be on this height. Because this way, if the train was back here, you'd still be able to see it, right? So you'd have like 1, 2. So you still wouldn't see the bottom of it, but you'd probably be at least able to see the top of it. But it's this height that I'm curious about. It looks like it might be a little bit lower. It looks like the platform for the road. Oh no, this is the belts I'm looking at. Alright, so this is... That's the platform height right here. Yeah, so it is the same. It is the same as the platform. But what we would do here is we would come straight across, send the train like dead middle right here. And then like we'd probably... Why am I not running? Here we go. We just angle it up just a little bit, like right here, and get up to the right height, and then away we go. Oh, no, don't want to go that way. I'm going to take the middle one this time because I want to fix it. The coffee mug's just for fun. It's like a vanity project. You get like a golden coffee mug when you complete all of the space elevator objectives in the game. Alright, well I'll call that a successful test. I'm going to delete this. Well, I'll leave that up there for now. Just in case I change my mind. But pretty sure we're going to go with the high train. Means we can maybe run hypertubes like along the base of it. Like we could have... I think you can hook up the hypertube wall supports to these things. Which adds a little bit of bulk to the platform as well. So we could have like a hyper tube that goes along the train. That could be kind of fun. What do you need all the resources for? Is there a giant area or something? Nope. This is making aluminum. All of this stuff here is going into these factories here. This is making silica. This is making alumina solution in silica and scrap. And if we go up top, you'll see the aluminum being made. You can see all the different items going up. They don't render in from this distance, even though I've got my render distance set to high. And then you see all of this stuff moving around and being turned into aluminum. And then we just finished the aluminum up here. So all of these, all those items in the belts are being pumped into here and turned into other stuff. And eventually you have to unlock those items to send up to the space elevator. But it looks pretty cool. It's going to be cool when we get the other side filled in as well. So if we want to have a train come in, a train station is massive. Three and a half, yeah, almost 5 foundations wide. And very tall. It will fit in here though, once we move all this stuff. And the cool thing is we'd bring it all the way to the back, and then we use the train to fuel our storage system. And I'm thinking that if we do this right with a train station, right, so there's where the train station would come in. So we think about this having a track to there, let's say. Then to turn this around, we'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 around to here. So there's a huge turning radius for these things. But then we could take it down. We can go straight underground with it. If we wanted to. Or we could take it underground here and do the turn downstairs, which would more than likely be what we would do. Oh, you're welcome, 3D guy. Thanks for hanging out. So we've got all this room. It's too bad that the turning radius on the trains are so large, because it would be nice to be able to have it turn from here and go like right down like this ramp, but it ends up being like way over here. We could have like it turn left and make a loop. Like we come from there up to here, but not really sure if that's the best way to do it. Because once we're back down underneath here, we get a clear shot back to the train station. It would not be difficult at all. Or we don't have to have it turn around. We could just have it have an engine on either side. Just have it come in here, stop, turn around, and go back the other way. So yeah, I really want to get more happening with this main building here in the middle, but without those new base parts, it's kind of hard to decide what you want to do. Like I said, I definitely want more room here, and we have it, right? Like there's nothing here. These are temporary. This could be moved if we really wanted it to be. So we could easily make room for this to be much larger and much wider. And maybe have this building come back a little bit and change. But now that we've got aluminum going, I should check out to see what we can make. Oh, it doesn't tell you what it's made from. So we got drones. Drone ports, but they take batteries. We're not making those yet. Radio control units. So really, I think the thing to do is going to go back to our early production with the iron and stuff and make sure we're doing the pure iron and the pure copper in both of these like legs of the factory. This looks super fun. I like that we decided to leave this open to see everything moving around. One side is definitely busier than the other. I don't know why that is. But we've got a lot of silica that's going to the awesome sink for some reason. Like, we're sinking a lot. And I don't know why. We've got 68 coupons now? What can we buy? I have all the walls, I have all the attachments, I have all the foundations. Don't need another factory cart. Have all the walls and the lights. We can do a statue. They're not super impressive, but I like that one. Could certainly go with some color cartridges, for sure. Or ammo. But you can just buy some complicated parts. That'd be an interesting way to unlock earlier levels. Just buy some of the things that you need. You can't buy space elevator parts, but you can buy some complicated stuff. Thank you, 100,555. Appreciate that. Oh, autosave. So this didn't take very long to set up at all. The little top factory here. Oh, no power. I guess we could start to think a little bit more about what we want to do up here too. Yep. I think iron and some proper base productions are going to be what we tackle next. I could use a break from all this stuff actually. But now that we have enough Alclad sheets to do top tier belts, should not be a problem. I think, however, that's where I'm going to wrap it up. It's been a pretty long day for me, but a good one nonetheless. Managed to fit in a workout in between streams, which was great. If you've enjoyed this, though, leave a follow before you take off. We're going to try to pass you on to somebody else playing Satisfactory, so if you want more Satisfactory, just stick around. You'll land in a new place with the same game. Check out the Spawn Chunks tomorrow at thespawnchunks.com. We'll be recording that in the morning and posting it in the evening. That is the Minecraft podcast I do with Pixel Riffs. Check out the CitadelCafe.com. That's a podcast I do of both sci-fi and fantasy entertainment. We talked about the new He-Man cartoon that's on Netflix. Not the one from Kevin Smith. It's another one. Yes, there's two. No, I don't know why. And then last but not least, check out Patreon. That's one of the best ways to support the stream. If you subbed or resubbed or used a Prime Gaming sub, thanks ever so much. And we'll see you hopefully in the Discord, because you get access now that you are a supporting member of the community. Thanks for a fantastic weekend, folks. We will talk at you soon. Bye for now. We're going to pass you on to BL Andrew 575. Crazy stuff in Satisfactory. See you later. Bye for now.